Hello and welcome to Partners and Crime. I'm Roger and this is
Poppy.
And every maybe week, it's kind of, whenever. It's a bit iffy. Poppy tells me a true crime story that she's researched and delved into, a case, and something that I know nothing about.
Yeah, so it's another current case, which I enjoy doing most at the moment. I think we will dive into other cases as well, but I just think I'm really enjoying looking into the current ones. Obviously, doesn't mean they're not necessarily resolved, but it's just something to keep an eye out for, isn't it? So we are going down under today, all the way over to Australia. First time over to Australia.
I am known for my Australian accent.
Okay, so again, this has been all over social media. I noticed as well, Stephanie Harlow did a video on it the other day, so I haven't watched hers, but I'm going to watch it once we've recorded this, so I can see how much of a better job she's done, because she is the deep dive queen. If you don't know who she is, go follow her. She is. So yeah, it's not the iPad, so just did like the really granny thing, trying to swipe up on a laptop. Anyway, so just to clarify then, because this is still currently happening, like this information is like alleged, it's not been like confirmed through like court and stuff like that. No one's been convicted. Everyone is not guilty until proven guilty. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So just needed it again. I'm such a grandma. So just wanted to clarify that. Don't look at the script.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's begin.
Don't be whacking the table.
Shush, let's start. So, it begins in a small rural town called Leongatha in Victoria, Australia. On Saturday, the 29th of July, 2023, very recent, a woman called Erin Patterson, who's 48, a stay-at-home mum, was preparing a lunch for her family to come over and enjoy. Both of Erin's former in-laws were coming. Their names are Gail and Don Patterson, both 70 years old, former teachers, and ran a local gazette called the Borough Flyer, until passing it down to Erin in 2018. And Gail's sister, Heather, who is 66.
60 and it's sook.
And Gail's sister, Heather, who's 66 and is also a former teacher. And finally, her husband, Ian Wilkinson, who's 68, who is the local pastor at Corumburra Baptist Church.
How old was he?
He is 68.
He's sick. Okay. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah. No.
Okay. Erin's two children didn't attend the meal as they were going to the cinema, and her ex-husband, Simon Patterson, who was 49, a self-employed engineer and photographer for the Borough Flyer, cancelled on the lunch last minute. So basically, Erin's there. She's invited over her former in-laws, and then the sister of the in-laws and her husband.
Right.
Okay. Erin's parents have passed away, so.
Okay. So
they're not around anymore.
Just to clarify, the people invited are her ex-husband's parents.
Yep.
Her sister Heather.
Gail's sister, not Erin's sister.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that did confuse me as to because she was
Gail's
so much
sister.
older. Right,
so her
sorry.
in-law's sister.
Okay, yeah,
And then the husband of the sister. Yeah.
Right, sure.
Sorry, I did get a little.
No. I think you probably said all of that right. I couldn't write it down in time to make the note. It's not your fault.
Write quicker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to increase my words per minute.
So this lunch had been orchestrated in a bid to either discuss child custody or to try and reconcile Erin and Simon. I read both of these reasons online, so I'm not sure which one is like the correct reason why they have come together for this meal. But either way, like Simon did cancel last minute. So
he's not there.
He's not there to have a discussion about kind of his life. So I don't know if that conversation actually happened or not. They've been apart for years, Erin and Simon, but they officially separated in 2021.
Okay.
Erin decided to make a beef Wellington for lunch, which is a classic British meal. And if you're not sure what that is, I know you know what it is. We've tried to make it before. It was horrific. It is typically a beef fillet with a mushroom paste spread on the beef, which is then wrapped in pastry and cooked. So it is nice. I just can't make it. And like I said, not a lot has been revealed of the lunch, but from what I can tell, everyone enjoyed the meal. There were leftovers for the kids when they got home from the cinema, and everyone kind of just went home. That's it.
Seemed fairly normal.
Yeah. So that night, all 4 of the guests became violently ill.
Ew.
And separately went to their local hospital. So the couples separately went to their local hospital with severe gastrointestinal problems.
Right.
And as they deteriorated, they were transferred to Melbourne Hospital. But unfortunately, Gail and Heather died in hospital a few days later on the 4th. And Don dies in hospital the next day on the 5th of August.
Oh, right. So all of the elderly members of that situation or...
Well, Ian is the only one still fighting for his life.
Right. Well, even today?
He is alive.
Right.
At this moment in the story. He is alive and will need a liver transplant.
Good God. Okay.
Yeah. So the meal was on the 29th. So this is like 5 or 6 days, 7 days after the lunch. So obviously this is extremely tragic and bizarre. Like, why have 3 people just died with the same symptoms at the same time from the same area? Obviously they all know each other. The hospital could tell that this looked like some kind of poisoning. The symptoms included abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea. The symptoms included abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea, but quickly led to their liver and kidneys shutting down completely, plus with jaundice and delirium, all within a few days of them arriving in hospital, which ultimately led to their painful deaths.
Right. That's pretty horrible.
Really awful. Apparently it was quite horrific.
Getting poison's probably... It just seems like one of the worst sort of ways to...
Because you just don't know what's going on as well.
No.
The doctors think it can only be one thing that poisoned them. Death-capped mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that would kind of prick your ears up because you... can't think of the right word, but you've looked into mushrooms and stuff and you... Because they're like magical, aren't they? In like the science field.
Yeah, I mean, mushrooms are incredible.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting bit of fungi.
That's it, exactly. So I knew that you would have heard of...
Yeah, I've heard of the death cap
mushroom. I hadn't heard of them before this case because I'm not...
Right.
I've never really looked into mushrooms. So.
No.
But I know you... I mean, we went on a little mushroom walk once.
A little mushroom hunt.
Anyway.
It's amazing what kind of mushrooms come out of the ground. Anyway.
Well, some deadly ones. So.
Yeah, of course.
They had to contact the police and the health department so they could start an investigation and get a toxicology report done as soon as possible on these poor victims. As the poison can leave the body very quickly once the victim has died. I read within 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
Whether that is accurate or not, I'm not sure. So quick action was needed to get some samples from the victims. But what are death cap mushrooms?
Mushrooms.
Correct. They are actually responsible for about 90% of mushroom-related deaths globally. So that's huge. Globally as well.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay.
This is because they can be easily mistaken for edible mushrooms that if you're not a keen fungi forager, you might easily get confused and get yourself into some serious trouble. They aren't poisonous to touch, but it only takes about half of one mushroom to be eaten in order for it to kill a grown adult person. And there is no cure after being ingested. Even if the mushroom is cooked, there is still a high chance you could die from eating it. It is around a 30% chance of death by death cap mushroom, as it can affect people differently. Like, it's not like you eat it, you're going to die, but it will have severe effects on your body. Most people end up needing to have a liver transplant, which is obviously what happened to Ian.
It's pretty bloody serious.
Yeah. So it is life-threatening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you don't die from it, you know, it is serious still. BC Centre for Disease Control states death cap mushrooms are extremely poisonous. In October 2016, a child died after eating a mushroom that was being picked in downtown Victoria. So they are from around the area. The mushrooms are globally known and are known locally within the area, which is probably why the doctors were able to make this assumption, but obviously need the toxicology report to come back in order to get the scientific truth. But if this is true, how did this happen? Did they accidentally eat them, or was it something more sinister?
I think it's weird, obviously, that 3 people, or even 4, sorry. Is it 4?
4 have been affected.
3 4 people have instantly been affected, all at the same time. It's not like they went out foraging as in a friendship group and eating mushrooms off the ground. Like, you know, you know.
They all were in one space at one time. You know, and then this has happened. So it is very suspicious. Detective Inspector Dean Thomas of the Victoria Police is in charge of the investigation. Very quickly, the police found out about the lunch they had at Erin's house, which was about 6 or 7 days before the untimely deaths. And I'm assuming Simon told them about it. And can you remember what they ate at lunch?
Beef Wellington.
With a mushroom.
Covered in mushrooms.
Paste, exactly. With this information, Erin Patterson became their number 1 person of interest. And on the 5th of August, the police executed a search warrant and headed to Erin's house to seize some items from her home, whilst hopefully there is still some evidence there that might be useful, because obviously it's like a week later. Luckily, she had some leftover lunch that the police were able to take away for testing, so they managed to get some of the beef Wellington.
All right. Well, it wouldn't shock me that, you know, you could quite easily mash up 1 or 2 mushrooms and put them into the specific plates, because she hasn't been poisoned. I assume she was sat there eating the same Wellington.
We'll see.
So
I'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
In an interview with the police, she apparently gave a no comment interview initially, after being advised to not to say anything. I'm not clear who advised this, but I'm assuming it was a lawyer. She found the interview process to be a terrifying and anxiety-provoking experience, and she now very much regrets not answering some questions following this advice, given the nightmare that this process has become. Which I think she was referring to the media just going wild with this story and just completely bombarding her home 24/7, you know, obviously looking for answers and, you know, what they're like. Just like...
yeah, well, relentless, really.
Relentless, that's the word I was looking for. On the 7th of August, Detective Dean Thomas publicly reveals that Erin Patterson is an official suspect.
Okay. What day was it, sorry?
This was the 7th of August. An official suspect in their investigation, but no charges have been made so far. He said, "We have to keep an open mind in relation to this. It could be very innocent. But again, we just don't know at this point. 4 people turn up and 3 of them pass away, with another in critical. So we have to work through this." So I think that's a very fair statement to make, because
it's kind of
they really don't know.
It just sounds like, or at least that explanation just sounds like they're trying to turn over every stone and just make sure. Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're also saying kind of like, we don't know if it is Erin at this point. So like, don't go like crazy about it being her, like, because it really could not be, which I think is a fair thing to say.
Because, it's innocent until proven guilty, isn't
it? That's it. I think that they are kind of enforcing it, where a lot of other
many places won't.
People don't do that, do they? They don't give enough information, so then their imaginations go wild, don't they?
Yeah.
And on the same day, Erin Patterson gave a tearful, unofficial statement outside of her home, which we'll show you in a clip now.
Okay.
It's a tragedy what's happened.
Can you tell us about the meal that you cooked?
I'm so devastated by what's happened, by the loss of Don. Don is still in hospital, the loss of Ian and Heather and Gail. They were some of the best people that I've ever met. Gail was like...
Take your time.
Gail was the mum that I didn't have because my mum passed away 4 years ago. And Gail's never been anything but good and kind to me. And Ian and Heather were some of the best people I've ever met. They never did anything wrong to me, and I'm so devastated about what's happened.
Can you tell us
and the loss to the community and to the families and to my own children who've lost their grandmother.
Can you tell us a bit more about the lunch?
What I can tell you is that I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened. That Ian and Heather have lost their lives, and Gail has lost her life, and Donna's still in hospital, and I pray that he pulls through, because my children love him.
And you must be pretty shaken up by this as well.
I'm devastated. I love them. And I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry that they have lost their lives.
How are your kids?
I just can't believe it. Just can't believe it.
Can you tell us where the mushrooms came from? Were they picked from the property area?
I just ask you to leave me alone now, please.
Police say you're a suspect. Do you have anything to say about
Yes,
that?
I say I didn't do anything. I love them. And I'm devastated that they're gone. And I hope with every fibre of my being that Don pulls through. That's
Where
what I
did the
have to
mushrooms
say.
come from? Were they picked by you, or where did they come from, Erin? Can you tell us? What meal did you cook them? Did you eat the same meal, Erin?
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
Just remember what you were going to say.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're searching. Okay. All right. Can we say stuff now?
Sorry, yeah.
That's all right. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is, are you wrong or is she wrong? Because she says that Don's alive.
Yeah.
Whereas you said that Ian's alive.
Yeah. So
At the stage at which we're,
Oh, sugar. So the first time I watched that, I didn't clock that at all. That she was saying Don
Right.
was the alive one and Ian was the one that passed away. But no, so I just had to recheck myself, didn't I? Off camera, because I was like, oh my god, have I just got this all wrong? No, because it's Don and Gail.
Yeah. The
couple.
older couple. Yeah.
That have died, because that's Simon's parents.
Yeah.
They are the ones that have died. Ian is the one who is still alive, like hanging on to life, basically.
And Ian is Heather's husband.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So that really just threw me through a loop then. So she's got that wrong.
So
which is a bit weird.
I think that's obscure. Yeah, I think that's weird.
But so what's your general feel of the video?
Of that video?
Because that's the first time you're seeing her as well.
I 100% don't believe a word she says.
Oh my god, I was not thinking you were going to say that.
Her face is as dry as a as a bit
Yes,
of sandpaper.
That's what I noticed.
Like she hasn't.
I'm so proud of you.
She keeps rubbing her eyes.
Yeah.
She isn't rubbing anything away. It looks like crocodile tears. That's what it looks like. That's pretty much all I have to say.
I'm so glad you said that, because when I was writing out my initial response to this, I was thinking, gosh, if I just become this hardened person that just doesn't believe people anymore.
I mean,
No, looking at it again in more detail, you know, obviously she is wiping away her eyes and stuff, which you would wipe away tears if they were there.
Yeah, of course.
But there's no glistening around her eyes that would be left from wiping. You know, you don't just wipe a tear and it's perfectly gone, magic. There would be residue, but there's nothing there. And I did say, like, the video is bad quality.
Yeah, of course.
But you would see a glistening on the skin of some kind when she's moving around.
3 very close people to her have just died.
Yeah.
And she's making an unofficial statement. No one's prompted her to. She's making an unofficial statement
after
about
being named a suspect.
Same day as being named a suspect.
She said these things to them.
So she's been named a suspect, and if she has done it, if it is her, or like whatever, she maybe has turned around and said, "Oh, how do I sort of, you know,
face and
get a bit of the heat off my back? How, you know, what can I do?"
I think is what it is.
Effectively,
I don't know how
that's
you
kind of
can
what it
in
looks
this
like.
But it's difficult because obviously people do react to things in different ways. Like, you've got to remember this is a very rural town. I think it's about 5,000 people in this town, which isn't a lot of people.
Yeah.
And suddenly she's bombarded with all these people. I mean, they're on her property. I don't know if that's legal or not, but
they're
on her
drive. Fine.
And you know, they're wearing her face, and that wouldn't have been the first time they were doing that. That would have been for the past 10 days or whatever.
To be honest, I thought those journalists, their questions might not have been very tactful, but they looked like they were being relatively respectful.
Well, they were getting her to talk, so I think they were just quite pleased about that.
But I mean, Anyway, but yeah, I didn't really. I mean, maybe I've become a bit cold as well, but I really didn't believe her, and felt that was a bit of saving face and not much more than that.
And getting the names wrong, that just is disrespectful, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't understand how you make a statement like that about all of this and you get it wrong.
Especially when they were part of your family.
Well, yeah, exactly. Anyway,
not sure. That's just quite strange, isn't it? But yeah, I definitely agree. Crocodile tears. I really wasn't expecting you to say that. So, in a shocking twist revealed on the 8th of August, a Facebook post written by Simon Patterson, which is Erin's ex-husband, saying he had been rushed to hospital due to mysterious stomach illness in May 2022, so the previous year, and he had collapsed at home.
Sorry. So a post has been made on the 8th?
No.
Sorry.
It was revealed on the 8th.
Oh, so okay.
The investigators had found this post on the 8th of August, but it had been written the previous year.
Okay.
While investigating, they obviously went on social medias.
Sure.
And they found this post.
So this is a historical account?
This is a historical post on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
From Erin's ex-husband, Simon, saying that he was rushed to hospital due to a mysterious stomach illness in May 2022, and he had collapsed at home.
Right.
Simon wrote on his Facebook page how he was put into an induced coma for 16 days because of this, and underwent 3 emergency operations on his small intestine. He said...
Wow.
Yeah. He said, "My family were asked to come and say goodbye to me twice, as I was not expected to live. I have a big scar on my tummy which is healing itself slowly, and I have ICU acquired weakness, which is a common condition of people who lie in intensive care for as long as I did. I was in intensive care for 21 days, after which I was in the general ward for a week, and now I'm at a rehab place." So crazy, you know.
Well,
induced coma for 16 days. They don't take that stuff lightly either, because
no,
you there's always a chance you don't come out of the coma.
Yeah, sure.
Things like that. So That's intense. So he was staying at his parents' house whilst he was recovering. Apparently, later on, after his experience in the hospital, Simon spoke with friends and family about how he believed it was actually Erin who had been poisoning him using nightshade plants. A source said there were times he had felt a bit off, and it often coincided when he spent time with her. Although they had been separated for years beforehand, they always tried to keep a tight family unit for their children. Obviously, what Simon is alleging hasn't been confirmed and is all alleged. But apparently the police are looking into Simon's medical history because of this claim. And Erin has always insisted they separated amicably and there is no bad blood. So take that as you will, but...
You would say that, wouldn't you?
I mean, you're not just going to admit it like, oh yeah, I did do it.
And I hate him.
Yes.
No.
But strange.
That's... yeah. Yeah, that is
Another
quite strange.
Suspicious.
Coincidental. It's a similar... Well, it's another poisoning.
Yeah, well, it was never confirmed
No, sure,
what was wrong with him.
But it's quite...
He just thinks that, apparently.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's quite interesting that he suspects his ex-wife.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to take this all with a bit of a pinch of
Yeah.
salt because you know what newspapers are like. They're like, a source said. And it's
True.
like, well, who's the source? I don't
But
know.
I mean,
you've
if
always
it...
got
Well,
to kind of,
yeah, of course, yeah.
until it's really confirmed, you know.
Sure.
But just very suspicious. Another suspicious
Yeah,
kind
very
of thing
suspicious.
to be aware of. On the 14th of August, a statement was released. It's been reported it came from Victoria Police. I've also seen reports saying that the statement came from Erin's legal team. And I've also seen that Erin said she didn't want this being leaked and doesn't know how this happened. But this is from Erin. This is her words.
Okay.
I am now wanting to clear up the record because I've become extremely stressed and overwhelmed by the deaths of my loved ones. I'm hoping this statement might help in some way. I believe if people understood the background more, they would not be so quick to rush to judgment. I am now devastated to think that these mushrooms may have contributed to the illness suffered by my loved ones. I really want to repeat that I had absolutely no reason to hurt these people whom I loved. So that's the only specific quote I found from this statement, but I've just got other information that she explained. Does that make sense? That's a direct quote. I haven't got any more direct quotes from it, but
No, okay.
I've got snippets of bits that were said.
Yeah, okay.
So she does admit in it, I'm now devastated to think that these mushrooms may have contributed to the illness suffered by my loved ones. So she's kind of almost admitting that.
Well, she's admitting
the
that it was mushrooms.
May have contributed. But
Yeah.
she's kind of, she's saying it out loud.
Well,
so that kind of just means a lot, I think.
Yeah, no. Well, to me, that says that she has knowingly given them mushrooms.
Well, no, obviously she would have been questioned. She would have been asked, like, did you give them death cap mushrooms? Like, you know.
Yeah.
So she would have known that they're looking into the mushrooms.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it a bit funny that she's said that herself, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
it'll make
yeah.
more sense when I say
Sure.
more things. She goes on to explain how she made the beef Wellington from scratch with a lot of mushrooms. She had the beef loin and made the mushroom paste using 2 different types of mushrooms. Button mushrooms from the supermarket and dried mushrooms that she bought from an Asian supermarket months earlier. But she couldn't remember which supermarket it was, just that it was in the Mount Waverley area in Melbourne.
Okay.
Which from my research, I could see there were 2 Asian supermarkets in this specific area, one of which is now temporarily closed. So that could be connected. And just to go back quickly with the 2 different types of mushrooms,
Yeah.
that is common in a beef Wellington.
Yeah, sure. That's
To
fine,
put
yeah.
in, you put in your standard button mushrooms and also wild mushrooms.
Right.
They suggest using.
Wild.
So just to clarify, wild mushrooms.
Like that you buy from the shop, though?
You'd buy from a
Yeah.
shop.
You just buy
Yeah.
a punnet of wild mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the ones that she's used are from an Asian supermarket,
Right.
which I wouldn't necessarily choose to get them from. But I don't know in Australia what it's like, so I don't know. Anyway, she dished up the meal and let the guests choose their own plates. So she put it all on there, all on the plates, and then they all picked their own plate.
According to who?
According to Erin.
Yeah, okay, carry on.
So obviously we haven't got anyone to
No, there's no...
corroborate
Well
this. Thank you, I have to practice that. And then Erin had the last plate that was left.
Mm-hmm.
Erin confirmed her children did eat some leftovers after coming back from the movies, but she scraped off the mushroom part as they don't like them.
Okay.
Therefore, they didn't get ill.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, okay. She scraped the mushroom
The paste.
off the paste off of the Wellington, right?
That's
okay.
it. So hence why they didn't get ill. from
Yeah,
this.
sure.
However, there was a lot of suspicion as to why Erin didn't become ill. But it was revealed that on the 30th of July, which is the day before Gail, Don, Ian and Heather went to hospital, Erin also went to hospital after becoming unwell with what she thought was food poisoning. She was picked up by an ambulance and taken to a local hospital in Leongatha to then be transferred on the 31st to Monash Medical Centre in Melbourne, where she was put on a saline drip and given medicine that protects the liver until the symptoms subsided, which they did.
Okay.
However, experts have pointed out that there is no cure or antidote after ingesting death cap mushrooms. So how did she come out of this lunch unscathed? So, and seemingly absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So that's obviously something that the police are going to have to figure out.
Yeah.
If there is death cap mushrooms in this meal, how did she not get affected by it? Because it's been proven that she did go to hospital. That's an easy thing for them to be able to prove.
Yeah, right.
She did go to hospital and she did feel unwell, blah blah blah. But you said earlier something. Maybe she placed them, the mushrooms in the
Wellington,
strategically. And then maybe she placed the plates in a way where it's like, oh, I'll keep this my one.
Well,
Further at the back,
yeah,
they'll
sure.
pick the front ones as you would just do,
Sure.
wouldn't you? And she's like, okay,
it's either
I'll
that.
keep mine.
It's either that or
That's
she's.
very,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's either
psychopathic.
either that or she's telling porkies about people picking their own plates and she just gave them to them.
that.
It could be that. One thing I do have to question, with the Asian supermarket thing.
Mm-hmm.
One, it kind of just sounds like she's trying to blame the Asian supermarket.
Yeah.
That's as a potential
Possibly.
place where these poisonous mushrooms have come from.
Yeah.
But surely, if that was the case, there would be a few more cases in that area of people that have bought mushrooms and become ill.
What? And because they bought them from that.
Because they bought them
specific
from that supermarket.
Yeah, it's very strange, and she can't name the supermarket.
No, right.
And if it is in this area that she has said, and there is only two, you just got to pick one. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, at least there is only two, so then the police can just go to the two.
Check. Yeah, sure.
But I did also then look in the surrounding area of Mount Waverley. There is a lot more in the surrounding area. So if she's just set a place and just whatever, we don't know basically how truthful she is being.
Right.
She could have just plucked a place out of, because that supermarket, it's like an hour and a half away.
Why would you go there?
That's what I just don't know.
You wouldn't.
It was
Especially
like an hour and 20 minutes away. I was like, why? There must have been one. To be fair, I should have searched that if there was any closer to her.
This is the Asian supermarket still. Like an hour and a half away.
But they are in a very rural place.
Yeah,
I don't know if maybe that's just kind of the closest.
Who's?
I don't know.
Maybe she bought other stuff from this Asian supermarket, right? But why?
It'd be good to see receipts.
It'd be good to see receipts. But why would you go an hour and a half away just to buy a punnet of mushrooms?
Well, yeah,
You wouldn't.
It might not have just been for that.
No, of course, no. That's why I'm saying.
It's just it's a very far away place. I don't know if that's normal in Australia. But it's not that normal here.
No, it's not.
Drive that far.
Everything in the UK.
But then it's near Melbourne, so maybe that's why she was near that area.
Okay.
While she was in hospital with her children and her ex-husband, she was talking about. This is a bit. I don't have the full context of this, so it's a bit random. But she was talking about her food dehydrator. with her children.
Yeah.
No idea why, but she was. When her ex asks, is that what you used to poison them? He just flat out asks her. After this accusation, Erin admitted to panicking and dumping the dehydrator at the Kunwara tip. Obviously, once she was out of hospital. She panicked because she thought this comment would mean she would lose custody of their children, and she would have used a dehydrator on the mushrooms to add them into the beef Wellington. However, she lied to investigators and told them she had used the dehydrator months ago on the mushrooms and gotten rid of the dehydrator before any of this happened. Yeah?
I mean, yeah, fine, but it just sounds like a load of bollocks, doesn't it?
Which part?
All of it. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like this woman already. That's my problem.
Gosh. So do you understand what I was just saying though?
Yeah. The ex-husband said, whether it was joking or accusative, did you use the dehydrator to dehydrate the poisonous mushrooms that you poisoned my parents with?
That's it.
And she's gone, I did. So, I did dehydrate the mushrooms in that thing.
Yeah.
I better get rid of it.
Yeah. Which is so stupid.
And then she's lied to the police and said, I got rid of it months ago.
Yeah.
Even more stupid.
Yeah. So, it's fine. The detectives went to the tip. And on the 4th of August, they actually found the dehydrator and sent it off to be tested to see if there's any death cap mushroom residue in there, as well as Erin's DNA to link them together. So that will be really good for clues. Investigators also returned to the Kunwara tip on the 6th of August to talk to staff there, look at CCTV, and they also knocked on Erin's neighbours' doors for any more information. So just to remind you, this is a very small community, so people know each other.
Yeah, sure.
So like talking to staff and stuff like that, like they might have actually recognised when Erin did come in.
Okay. Yeah.
Something that experts flagged up is the fact Erin has said she used mushrooms from an Asian supermarket, and it is suspected that these could have been the death cap mushrooms used in the beef Wellington. Australian Mushroom Growers Association said there is no way poisonous mushrooms could be grown in commercial farms. They said this fungus, death caps, only grows in the wild. Commercial mushrooms are grown indoors in environmentally controlled rooms with strict hygiene protocols and food safety standards. The only mushrooms you can be sure are safe are fresh, Australian-grown mushrooms bought from a trusted retailer. So, I mean, just like Australia is known for being very strict as well with what they allow to bring into Australia. We've never been, but, you know, people that go there and come home, you basically can't take anything in.
No. Well, I saw something the other day on TikTok where
so it's going to be true then.
This family was going through Australian customs and they had a metal hammock of some description, and the customs people were like, they scanned it, right, and they were like, there's something in the tube like of this hammock.
Oh, for God's
so we've got to test it and check it out, make sure it's not drugs. And they take it away to the customs room, whatever, and put a drill hole through it to see what's inside.
Yeah.
And then they find that it's just sand. It's just full of sand, probably because it's just been jammed into the ground or whatever, right? But they then say, you're not allowed to take this through into the country because it's full of sand, and you can't take sand into the country. Yeah, you can't take foreign sand into Australia.
It could be full of bugs,
because
mites,
it could be full
bacteria.
of parasites, bugs, all kinds of stuff. So it makes sense.
They're very strict. And in fact, I haven't included this, but death cap mushrooms are not native to Australia.
Right.
I can't remember where they're native from, but basically they came in to the country when oak trees were imported to Australia.
Right.
And then they then grew on the oak trees, which is what they grow on mostly is oak trees.
Yes, well, yeah, mycelium tends to... it comes through all kinds of wood, but...
Death caps are yeah, that's how they got into the
Yeah,
country, which
sure.
I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, the mushrooms are amazing. It's an amazing thing. They're amazing.
Not in this case, though.
No.
Chief botanist at the Botanic Gardens, Professor Brett Summerall, said shops and supermarkets would absolutely not be selling poisonous mushrooms. He said, "In my experience, I've never actually heard of that. It's unusual. Most people are selling mushrooms either through the supermarket or shops are getting them from accredited producers, and the likelihood of a poisonous mushroom coming through from the source is very unlikely."
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be an incredibly irresponsible business. And also, you'd have to go out and pick so many wild mushrooms to actually be able to supply a shop with them.
Yeah.
Right? To sell so X amount of punnets in a day.
Well, we don't know what kind of supermarket this is.
No, yeah, but it wasn't a market stall. It's a supermarket. That's what you're telling me
that's
it's
what
called.
it's been called.
So it's going to be a shop that you walk into and it's got
is it
aisles
like a little
and stuff.
corner shop vibe, or is it like
Sure, fine.
Tesco's? We don't know.
Either way, I think it would be incredibly irresponsible for someone to go out, pick mushrooms, and then try and sell them in your shop. And beyond that,
And they would only last so long if they weren't dried.
and you wouldn't be able to get the quantities and all kinds of stuff. So I just think we're barking up the wrong tree type thing. I just don't think there's anything in this.
Professor Summerall also mentioned the use of a dehydrator on mushrooms, saying it was common practice for mushrooms to be dehydrated to preserve the fungi and help it last throughout the year. So if the mushrooms used were in fact death cap mushrooms, did Erin really get them from an Asian supermarket that she can't recall the name of, or did she get them some other way? That's the question. Many questions.
Many
In
questions.
this case.
Well,
that will be answered, so not today. This leads me on to the next suspicious tidbit. Mm-hmm. It's been revealed that, according to a friend of Erin's, obviously a friend of Erin's I'm using very loosely because we don't know, but apparently Erin is an experienced fungi forager.
no.
And she was known for picking wild mushrooms around the Victoria area. And the whole family would go out every year when the mushrooms are in season and pick them together. She is very good at foraging and identifying mushrooms, according to a friend. Erin also has multiple books at home all about mushrooms and foraging them. She apparently even has books about delicious but deadly fungi. Now, apparently this is pretty common in this area to do, and many other people are also foragers.
Yeah, sure.
Like Erin.
Yeah.
Like it's like in the area.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fine.
It's very rural that every year
A lot of people are very interested in mushrooms.
It's like just super common in the area to do that. What are you thinking?
I just think everything you're saying is just pushing me more towards that. There's really no reason to say that that Erin hasn't done something.
Well, this is all
I
this
know it's
information
all-
given you is circumstantial.
I understand
There's
that.
not a single piece yet of
Cut and dry. Like,
what's the opposite of circumstantial?
I feel like we should know this.
I've forgotten. It's gone from my brain.
Evidential.
Of just kind of like hard evidence. Like there's no there's no DNA.
No, sure.
You know, things like that, which they are waiting for. So you just got to be patient. Yes, like I said, pretty common thing to do in the area. Many other people do it. Yet, because of this accident, it puts into question if she knows so much about mushrooms, could she really accidentally poison her family with a food type she knows a lot about? Probably not.
Well, exactly. If she knows what they look like. Yeah.
Or if she bought mushrooms from a shop, would she not recognise that they were in fact the deadly death cap mushroom? It just makes it a little suspicious. If she did in fact use death cap mushrooms in the beef Wellington. He is shaking his head and huffing.
Carry on.
I just feel like you've never been so sure in a case before. You
don't-
weren't even
I
this
don't-
sure when we were talking about Rex Hewerman.
I don't think I've ever been so sure, and I don't think I've ever been so vocal actually in one of our videos. So much.
Gosh.
which is funny. But I don't know. Maybe I didn't like the look of her. I don't know. But
Rude. Another point that has been circling the newspapers is about something they have called the death wall.
The death wall.
Death wall. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I think it's basically a bunch of rubbish that the media have created to, make more content and stay relevant. And they just wanted to twist it into a more sinister thing than it really is. But basically, in a previous home where Erin lived with her family and Simon, but they have since left it, a decorator was called in to paint over a mural that was left on the wall before the new owners came in. Mm-hmm. It was in fact the decorator who took the photo and initially referred to it as the death wall. He then sold it to the press. But all it really was some scribbly drawings from her children when they were left unattended for a period of time. Do you want me to show you it, just so you can get a...
Yeah.
That's it from a distance. Mm-hmm. So why it's kind of found creepy is because it shows things on it that say, I am dead. No, really, I am dead. Things like that. But it's also got other drawings on it of like a son and some people and just nonsense because they're children. I don't know how old they were at this point. But, yeah, obviously there's gravestones on it, things like that. But, one of them says, you don't have long to live, 1 hour exactly. And out of context, that's creepy, but kids can be pretty creepy. Yeah. And also, quite clearly, they were like children's drawings. Like, they weren't like grown adult drawings.
You never know, but yeah.
She has 2 young children.
No, sure. Sure.
So I just think that was just pointless journalism, but I just wanted to say my opinion on that.
Okay.
Do you think anything of it?
Not massively. It is a bit creepy out of context, like you say. I don't think it has any relevance to today's situation. No, not really.
Me neither.
No, I think, like you said, it's just a way for the media to have another story about something that's currently happening, and it makes her look bad. Yeah. And
as if they're implying that that she drew it almost. It's like she's got 2 young kids, you bloody idiots. And another thing that popped up over the last few hours today, that I'm going to spend even less time on, is that Erin apparently has a criminal history.
Okay. Is that truthful?
She hasn't confirmed it. It's only just come out.
Yeah.
Today.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
But she got caught drunk driving.
Oh, okay.
So it's got absolutely nothing to do with this case.
That's really bad.
It's that's really true. Bad. It was before she was married. It was
a long time ago,
decades ago.
Okay.
But obviously it's just another thing like, oh my gosh, she's got a criminal past, therefore she must have done it. It's like, shut up.
I believe
that. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that, but it's just another filler story.
Yeah, sure. I think it probably is just filler. I think they've also got zero tolerance on drink driving in Australia.
They do now. They didn't back then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Because in the UK,
like I said, this was probably like 30 years ago.
Yeah, sure. Because but in the UK, a lot of people will go to the pub and have a pint
and drive home. The story, right?
I'm just saying, because we haven't got zero tolerance.
The English are known for drinking. Okay. Police have continued to make clear that they are keeping an open mind within the investigation. Erin Patterson is still a suspect simply because she is the one who cooked the meal. But until they start getting toxicology reports back from the victims and samples back from the dehydrator, we won't have any definitive answers as to how Gail and Don and Heather sadly died unexpectedly. And Ian Wilkinson, who is still in hospital but is stable, awaiting a liver transplant. I'm wondering when the police are actually going to talk to Ian, when they think it's safe to, because obviously he has survived this. So he will be able to answer some of these questions.
Well, yeah.
As a witness to being at this lunch, what did they talk about?
Yeah. Well,
what was the general vibe? Did she divvy out the plates, or was there a side of mushrooms? I don't know, like what?
Yeah.
He'll be able to answer so many more questions. So hopefully he doesn't have any memory loss or anything. I don't see why he would, but I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But that will just be really integral, I think, to the case when he can be interviewed formally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Erin continues to say this was never meant to happen. She loves her family and would never do any of this, as she saw Gail as her own mum, like she said. And she wouldn't do this to her children who loved their grandparents. So she's denying it still to this day.
Most murderers and people that do those kind of things, though, would deny it until the day that they are proven otherwise.
You do get the odd confession, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is mostly deny. But once we start getting answers back, I don't know how you can deny it anymore. If it is death cap. I mean, if it's not death cap that comes back, then it's going to blow this case wide open. But...
Yeah, of course, it would become quite complicated, I guess, after that. I mean, she's innocent until proven guilty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm changing my tune, really, but
you do have to reinforce that.
Yeah, that is the legal standpoint, isn't it? And the moral one, I suppose. But on paper, to me, right now, it really looks like it's
very suspicious.
Suspicious, yeah, it looks very suspicious on her part.
Yeah. A private ceremony was held for Gail and Don Patterson around the 23rd of August, with just close family and friends. A statement from the family read, "The Patterson family has expressed their deep gratitude for the outpouring of love, support and understanding during this challenging time. They have been touched by the many memories and stories shared by friends, acquaintances and even strangers who were touched by Don and Gail's kindness and generosity. In keeping with Don and Gail's wishes and character, the family has chosen to commemorate their lives in a manner that reflects their values and the love they shared with their community. The upcoming public memorial will be an opportunity for all who knew Don and Gail to come together, share memories and celebrate the lasting legacy they have left behind." So the public ceremony is going to be held for the community on the 31st of August, which is tomorrow, whilst we're filming. It has been speculated whether Erin will attend or not, but it probably wouldn't be a good idea if she did. But she, maybe she'll pay her respects in a different way, in a more private way, if she's a good person. But I think whatever she decides to do, it will be ridiculed regardless.
Yeah, probably.
If she goes, she'll be ridiculed. If she doesn't go, she'll be ridiculed. So, whatever.
I mean, it would be interesting if she went to understand what the response of the other members would be, but... Yeah.
I think people would be very, very upset. Like I've said, it's a very tight-knit community, and as you can see from that statement, they were loved in the community.
Yeah, of course.
It is unclear when Heather Wilkinson will be buried, as this hasn't been disclosed, but I'm not sure if they're waiting for Ian to recover a bit more before this happens, but I'm really not sure. So let's just take a few minutes to remember Gail, Don and Heather. Gail Patterson, mother of Simon Patterson, was a former teacher at Curran Secondary College with her husband Don. She was part of the gardening club and edited the Borough Flyer with her husband. A friend of Gail, Helen Taylor, described her as a helpful and friendly woman who was well respected in town and heavily involved with the local community. Don Patterson, father to Simon Patterson, was a former science teacher at the same school as Gail. He was known in town for helping struggling students and also running the Borough Flyer with his wife until 2018, when their daughter-in-law took over, which is Erin. A student of Don's described him as he did not have an evil bone in his body. So clearly, they were just a massive part of the community, weren't they? Heather Wilkinson, a former high school teacher where her sister Gail worked, she volunteered her free time to teach English to newly arrived migrants at a local community centre and welcome new faces to the street with freshly made cookies. How sweet. She sounds really sweet. And Ian Wilkinson, the pastor of Curran Baptist Church and an avid volunteer. He helped build the playground at the church, did maintenance at an aged care home in Curran and mowed neighbours' lawns. Hopefully he can make a physical recovery soon so he can then start emotionally recovering from this traumatic event. Parishioners have been praying daily at the local Baptist church where the victims were heavily involved. The local mayor reiterated this by saying, "I'm hearing from people regularly about their shock and disbelief and how they're coming to terms with such loss. People so well connected, loved and respected in the local community have been struck down and died so suddenly." So obviously this has just completely rocked the small community that this terrible act has happened in. And until there is answers as to how and why this has happened, it will be hard to start recovering from as a community. So that's kind of it for all the information I have on the case. So what do you think? I mean, it's quite clear what you think. You've been quite vocal. So do you think she could be guilty?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know. I just, obviously it's an ongoing case. So they're literally, it could be that they all met someone that evening that, you know, poisoned them somehow. But seemingly they attended a meal. They all became very ill shortly after. And the lady, is it suspected that it's death cap mushrooms, or is it known that it's death cap mushrooms?
They can't say it is because they need a toxicology report to make that clear.
Sure.
But from the symptoms and the timeline, it would seem that it would be.
Likely, yeah.
So I didn't really go into much detail on this, but with death cap mushrooms, it takes, 2 to 3 days for these initial symptoms to start coming in, which is the diarrhea, the nausea, and the gastro problems. And then after that, the symptoms subside and you feel better. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of days after that is basically when your liver is then shutting down. Yeah. Okay. And then from that point, you're deteriorating. Like, that's it, basically. Yeah. And so with that timeline, that adds up to when they went into hospital, which was a couple of days later. Right. And then they died within a week of the meal.
So, I mean, that's very suspicious, that timeline, and the symptoms, symptoms all add up. It's suspicious that she is knowledgeable about mushrooms.
Very knowledgeable, apparently.
Very knowledgeable, an experienced forager.
And if they are known within the area, these death cap mushrooms, then she would know about them.
Yes, you'd think so. But if
you're a keen forager, they're in your area. Another kid's died from it previously.
Yes, I was about to say, if she's a keen forager and they've gone out as a family to pick mushrooms, as a big group, I'm sure at some point she's either had to say to her children, "Don't pick these mushrooms," or they've picked a mushroom and she said, "Oh, put that down.
Yeah, don't eat that.
It's poisonous."
Yeah.
I just fail to believe. Does that make sense? I don't believe that she could have bought mushrooms from a shop and not recognise that they were poisonous. I don't know. Everything just says that to me that there is an intentional poisoning that's gone on here by someone that knows what they're doing with mushrooms.
But the question is, what is the motive? Why? Because that's the only thing that is not clear at all throughout this thing, is why. If she has done this, then why? So the only things I can think of that's been disclosed is she's mentioned, or it's been mentioned, about the custody of the children.
Yeah, sure.
So if the lunch was about the custody of the children, was she worried that these people were going to try and take her kids away from her?
Maybe.
It could be she was panicking and decided to poison them. But it seems very kind of far-fetched. Well, but people have done things.
Well,
not necessarily poison, but people have killed over these reasons before.
Yeah, well, people have killed over smaller things. But yes, I mean,
that's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, as well as that, could she be in a sense taking everyone else out, so she's the only remaining person that could have custody?
Because Simon was supposed to be there.
Because Simon was supposed to be there too.
But he pulled out last minute. Maybe he got a bad vibe.
Maybe.
Got gut feeling. But it all comes down to the toxicology report, whether they did die from death cap mushrooms.
Sure.
If they did, then I don't see a way out for her.
No.
With talking her way out of it or her defence, I don't know what the hell they would even do. But it all kind of just stems on that, really, doesn't it? And obviously Simon hasn't actually come out and said anything about this incident.
No.
Not that I could find anyway, so
It seems slightly
let us
strange.
know if you've seen anything. But, you know, he hasn't come out saying anything. So it's kind of like his parents died.
Well, yeah, of course.
So I don't know, that alone I think is a bit weird. But there might be a legal thing over that as well. Like, you know, I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe it's also slightly weird that he didn't turn up.
He cancelled last minute. Oh yeah, maybe it's a conspiracy. I don't know. I don't know, but there's going to be a lot more information coming out about it in the next month, like few months.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to throw too much speculation onto it.
No.
Even though we probably have in a way, but I wouldn't want to throw too much. Yeah, I probably have. I wouldn't want to throw too much more. And obviously, everything I've said is my opinion. It's not factual. It's not. I'm just going off what you've kind of told me and so on. So, you know, innocent till proven guilty. Yeah.
But it's just looking very bad for her, basically.
On paper right now, it doesn't look great for her.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So, yeah, we just have to wait for the toxicology report to see if it is the mushrooms or not. If it is, you know, it's not good for her, you know, in a good way, you know, take her to prison. But if that's not how they died, then I don't know what's going to happen with this case. But like always, we'll keep you updated. Depending on, you know, we're not sure when.
When more information comes out.
But yeah.
Or at least a substantial amount of information. We're not going to make an update just because she says 3 words.
And so we'll let you know. And I hope you enjoyed this case. It's a bit of a different one today. So yeah, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you soon. Bye.